Yeah, really, I'm not even in complete alignment with the secured party creditor thing. I'm more along the lines of, or moving toward and along the lines of trust and stuff like that. Rather than leaning my corporation up, I'm just going to set it aside and create my own entity and just be the trustee of that entity, basically.
And you're going to lien your straw man?
No. My straw man will be at dock, I guess. It'll be docked in the harbor, basically not sailing in commerce. And I'll have a different vessel that I'll be using to sail in commerce, whereas I'll be just the trustee, and none of the property in that trust will be under my name. I just have a certain interest in the property, according to the trust indentures. Say I have the use of the car, that's trust property. I have the use of the house, that's trust property. I have use of the bank accounts, that's trust property. Rather than saying or having to go into court and say, hey, I have the paramount security interest in this property, and go that route. I'd rather just keep it separate, and if there are any claims on the straw man or anything, then there's the straw man holds no property, because that's their vessel that they built. They created it. They wrote the indentures. They write the rules with that thing. So I'd rather create my own vessel, sail my own ship.
Now, so what kind of trust is it, though? Based on what law?
Based on private international law.
Is there something on the website about it?
Oh, no, it's pretty hard to, I guess it's just kind of something you got to know. I mean, really, you can look at all the trust. There's a couple trust books out there that'll explain regular statutory trusts.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
Yeah, different things like that. And I kind of just, take ideas from that and how they set up stuff. And really, you just have to follow the guidelines of what not to make it a statutory trust. Like, even by naming the trust, if the trust has a name, it's a statutory trust. So the trust can't even really have a name.
So you defend that if it doesn't even have a name? Defend
what? It's just the trust. It's a trust. There's trust being created every day that we don't even know about. No, the beneficiaries don't even have to be notified. None of the parties even have to have knowledge of the trust's existence. Like just by dropping your kids off at the babysitter, you're creating a trust. And to me, that's like one of the simplest forms of a private trust, really. It has no name, but it's a trust. Well, not to say that like I would definitely have a trust that could work on both sides. So I would probably have a holding, sort of like a holdings trust, where it holds different maybe foundations and stuff for public benefit or the benefit of different communities. It's not just, a trust to hide property. That's not what it's all about.
But what's confusing me is that you have no name. What do you call it, no-name trust? Or
No, you just don't, like how they say, the such and such family trust.
Yeah.
That's creating a statutory trust.
Right.
But you just have a trust. You have the indentures. You don't have to create a name.
So, all right. So say you're going to buy a homeless shelter, and you're going to buy a piece of property and put that property into the trust. So what do you put on the paperwork? You've got to have something named.
Well, you can just write the date that it was created.
So you say, trust created as of such and such a date.
Trust evidenced by such and such indentures, dated such and such. There's a million things you can do. Yeah, just that simple, one simple thing, not having a name, or having a name, could turn your trust statutory. I mean, people have all these supposed common law, pure trusts and express trusts, but they're putting a name on it, so they're still coming somewhat into the statutory trust. Like, why do you think even the different banks in Switzerland, there's a couple banks in Switzerland, or I think at least one, that's getting audited by the IRS in the United States right now for basically people writing down on their tax returns or not writing down that they did have a foreign trust or a foreign bank account and they didn't disclose what they had, and the banks were trying to hide it for them. They ended up finding out.
Because they had a name to go by.
And they had it in a bank, a regular bank, under their names. There was more to it than that, but...
Yeah, because I've dealt with trusts, and if I were to have a trust and wanted to do any type of business activity, and I wanted to, deal in funds, you put those funds into a bank, I'd have to show the trust documents, I'd have to submit the documents.
If you think about what you're doing with the straw man, or with the secured party creditor, though, you're taking supposedly the real man who doesn't have any capacity in commerce. He's invisible. He can't hold titles. He can't even move in commerce. So you're taking that guy. He's putting a lien on the corporation, the corporation or the trust that, he didn't create. He didn't, ever, there was no money ever had at his expense. He was never really indebted, or there was no really indebtedness to that trust. Or he has a lack of standing to even file a lien on the trust because it's not his, and he wasn't the beneficiary of that trust, or he only had certain beneficial interest in the trust. So for a person that can't be seen or can't hold titles in commerce, for them to put a lien on an actual vessel in commerce, to me it seems harder than just creating a trust. And you got to go in and defend that and try to articulate that to a judge, and they're going to freaking think you're crazy. Even getting your UCC-1 filed, sometimes they think you're crazy. They're saying you're putting a lien on yourself. Like, that's how they see it.
Yeah.
You're putting a lien on yourself. They don't care about the uppercase, lowercase. They don't distinguish. Some people put trust entity in the title box and stuff like that, but still, the clerk filing the documents isn't distinguishing between that. They're looking at the name. It's just my take on it, I'm not saying that the secured party creditor thing's right or wrong or anything, Whatever makes sense and whatever you can stand under, and, if you can, if that's what works for you, then, that's great. Because obviously it works for, Winston Trout and Tim Turner.
And it does compute for me.
But although Winston Trout doesn't own anything, he rents. When he doesn't own any houses, all he does is rent houses. I think he may have bought a car, full cash or something. They don't really have any kind of things where they go into debt. They don't have any finance, nothing. So they live their life in they do their business a whole different way than most average American, I guess.
Right.
So they don't I'm sure they don't have bank accounts and different stuff like that. I guess Tim Turner has his own bank now, though, so he may have some accounts. But yeah, they have their own way of living their life, and that works for them. The average person, I don't think the secured party creditor route is going to work, because they're trying to function in commerce and have all the benefits and do all these things, and you can't have your cake and eat it too. Well, unless you don't own anything, and you just have a certain interest in it, and you have the use of the property, we're stuck on owning things and having that attachment. I feel like, we have to have that in our grasp, have that pink slip or whatever, in our hands or in our filing box. But if we just have it put in a trust, and we have that interest in the use, and we have control rather than the full title to the property, then we're good, I think. That limits our liability. That limits a lot. Look at what, the Rockefellers and the J.P. Morgans and different people like that are doing. They don't put liens on their assets. They create trusts. They create foundations. They create LLCs. They create, different things like that.
You have to have a means of revenue to keep that wheel turning. Well, we're going to go ahead and proceed as planned and see where it gets me.
All righty. Good luck with that.
Thank you.